before the highways were cut.
Israel's reserves are called up, and on Sunday, June 6th at 11 a.m., a whole army, around 30,000 men and over 1,000 tanks and heavy guns, plunges into Lebanon to stamp out the PLO. It's round 7 of the Arab-Israeli wars. The next day, Kfar Giladi learns of its first casualty in the new war. Yossi Keller, a young helicopter pilot from the kibbutz, is shot down and taken as a prisoner to Beirut, where Palestinians mad with rage and fear beat him to death in the streets. If he was lucky, he was dead by the time these pictures were taken. Yossi is Oyesh Koli's brother-in-law. The pilot's father sees the pictures on television, and Ori's father tries to console him.
He said to me, so it happens to my son also, nothing to do. I'll be more silence if the body will be here in the cemetery. Now I don't know where I am. Where is the body of my son? That's what he said. And I have no words to make him a better feeling. What can you say in such a case?
Israeli tanks met only moderate opposition as they swept further into southern Lebanon today. Palestinian gunners fired sporadically but were quickly overwhelmed by the Israeli armor. Some PLO soldiers surrendered and others were killed. There's no word from either side on the numbers of casualties.
On the fourth day of the war, Nimrod Horvitz changes from kibbutznik to army captain as he prepares to leave Kfar Giladi again for Lebanon. He's already been in once, but like most Israeli men, he's in the military reserves, and the army has to let the reservists get home to their jobs whenever possible. Otherwise, the entire economy would grind to a halt. Nimrod was called again late last night, and by noon he'll be in Lebanon fighting. Is it hard to leave your wife?
Look, not the wife, the kids. That's the problem, but that's the life here.
Do the kids know where you're going?
Yeah, sure. They know.
Nimrod Horvitz's unit has the dangerous job of hunting down the PLO guerrillas left behind in southern Lebanon when the main Israeli force pushed through. It's Nimrod's third war, and he hates it. But like most Israelis, he sees it as us or them.
Look, fight, it's fight. Bullet, it's bullet. It's not a picnic. And it's if it's 400 Katyushas or 2 Katyusha, it's the same. It's the unknown, frightened a little bit, but that's it. And I was very happy, you know, because I was living in the Upper Galilee. And I live in a kibbutz that get a lot of bombs inside. And my kids a lot of times going inside the shelters. And now they was outside. They're not sitting in the ground. Somebody else sitting in the ground.
But it's neither Israeli troops nor PLO guerrillas who are suffering the most in this war. It's the Lebanese civilians trapped in the fighting and dying under Israeli bombs and shells.
I've seen planes attacking, bombing areas where there were civilians. There are thousands killed. Where is the Sixth Fleet? Where is the relief? Please, if you can get this message to my country, please do it.
The Israelis have virtually destroyed parts of this city of 200,000 because they say several thousand of the people here were members of the PLO. In many ways, the real victims of this conflict are the refugees who sleep tonight in makeshift tents on the shores of the Mediterranean. People whose homes and businesses were destroyed by war.
The Palestinian refugees can never get what they want through war. The Israelis are too well armed and too ruthless. Maybe the Palestinians cannot get much of what they believe are their rights by peaceful means either, but it's never really been tried. Instead, both peoples go on depending on military violence as the ultimate means of getting their own way. And so do we all. Like most Israelis in time of war, Uri Eshkoli spends his evenings in front of the TV set. First, the results of the day's fighting are given. Israel now surrounds Beirut, and the Israelis are told it's only a matter of time before PLO resistance caves in. But what follows is more sobering. A list of the names of the soldiers buried that day. There have been 250 so far in the first 2 weeks of fighting.
סמל ראשון שלום שרלי אזולאי בן 29 בחולון וטוראי רם מזרחי בן 20 בהר הרצל בירושלים. השניים הללו נהרגו בתקריות האש.
I know one of them. צבי גפני, I know צבי גפני. I know it. הוא היה קבלן, עבדנו איתו One of them I know he was a contractor. He used to buy concrete from our quarry. I used to arguing with him on the price, and he didn't like to pay at the time, so we used to argue. I think it's him, Tzvi Gafni. The age is also at the same age, 33. It's supposed to be him. I just talked with someone who knows him yesterday, and look, just talking.
As Israeli troops die in Lebanon, 18-year-olds are being fed into the other end of the military machine. These young Israeli paratroops are nearing the end of their training in a camp in the occupied West Bank. Then they'll be sent straight to Lebanon, even before making their first parachute jump.
And we talked just with one of our sergeants who went up to Lebanon, and he talked and he spoke and he told us exactly what it was like, what it's like to go in there, and how it is to feel, and how you have to train here, and how you have to be serious, and how much you have to be serious here, or else you won't be able to be good there, and exactly what it's like to be face to face with Syrians and with tanks and things blowing up and terrorists popping out of bushes here and there, and they lay it all on the line.
In Lebanon, the fighting continues around Beirut, broken by ceasefires, which are in turn broken within days or even hours. Meanwhile, on the Golan Heights, facing the bulk of the Syrian army, there's only a tense calm. The Israelis watch the Syrians, who, of course, watch the Israelis. And here, where the two enemies are only 100 yards apart, a sort of fellowship develops between the opposing soldiers who may someday soon have to fight each other. What's he saying to him?
Speak to me, come here and speak to me.
Do they ever speak to you?
Yes, sometimes they speak.
What do they say?
Hello, and our food is better than yours, and something like this, but not politician and not nothing.
It's not uncommon, this sympathy between soldiers on opposite sides. Captain Pini Avigur remembers another time when Arabs and Israelis were brought closer together by war.
When we were close to them, near the border, in Sinai, sometimes, many times.